so many people who are talent agents or managers and are like, I manage 150 influencers who all want to be podcasters now. That's like the most important thing in the world to them. How do I do it? Right? We could push them away or we could invite them in. We could have our word podcasting expand where it covers video creators and social media. That's exciting because that word is how we get everybody together to push on YouTube and Spotify for different standards, Apple for improvements.
Welcome to PodBiz, the money behind the mic, where we get into the business of podcasting. I'm Norma Jean Belenky, a podcast and media strategist.
And I'm John Kiernan. I'm a podcast producer, and we're asking the question that's on everyone's mind. Where is the money in podcasting?
Each week, we talk with podcast industry professionals, marketers, and creators who are turning podcasts into a thriving business and making the industry what it is today.
With real revenue, real strategies, and real results.
If you're looking to grow or scale your show, and of course monetize, you're in the right place.
So let's get down to PodBiz.
Today, we're speaking with Bryan Barletta, partner at Sounds Profitable. We'll be talking about the subscription model for monetization, transparency within the industry, Bryan's journey into podcasting, and how Sounds Profitable got started, and the value of your network. Let's get down to PodBiz. Bryan, thanks for joining us, and welcome to PodBiz.
Thanks for having me.
Bryan Barletta, where's the money in podcasting?
That's such a great question. I think the easiest and most visible thing to point at is always going to be advertising because there's news about it constantly. I mean, we put out 6 issues of our newsletter every week. 5 of them are about the business of podcasting and the pressures of the outside industries as they affect podcasting. And talking about money, advertising's the easiest one, right? Because there's so much content about it. There are people that spend in so many different channels exploring podcasting. There's people succeeding in podcasting. There's branded podcasts, which are an entire ad themselves. And so that becomes the easiest one to talk about. But I think there's money in almost every aspect of podcasting, right? There's a substantial amount of value in merchandising, live events, membership, all of those things. But from a coverage perspective, like in us and Pod News, those things become hard to highlight because people aren't transparent with that. Advertising, there's ways to track it and point a spotlight on it. So a lot of people think that advertising is the only path, but those other areas are just more and more hidden, right? We don't know the subscriber numbers for people's Patreons. We don't know their Apple Podcasts or their supporting cast or anything else, their subscriber numbers in those relationships. We don't know much about their own apps, if they have them, and what's happening on there or their other membership opportunities that are tied in. So advertising is where it's the easiest place to have the conversation, but I think there's money in almost every aspect of podcasting.
Great answer. I love what you said about subscriptions. I mean, we're just starting to see transparency on subscriptions. I think Apple talked about it at the London Podcast Show, which was a really big deal because some creators are just making bank with subscriptions.
Yeah. There's actually a fiction podcast that I'm not going to name that I'm such a big supporter and fan of that I believe makes from their Patreon alone several $100,000 a year for a fiction podcast, right? That's really cool. Like still today, I think that it's tough. Like I do like what Apple shared about that subscription one, but that was like one specific example. And it's always going to be hard when you look at like just the Apple charts in a specific country and how do you drop down from tiers from that one to the next one that shares with us their info. It might be a big drop, but we don't know the ones between that. So it's, I agree with you. Like, I think that subscriptions continue to be a thing that's incredibly valuable. I think actively right now, I have about 4 or 5 podcast subscriptions for shows that I just want to support. Some never miss an episode. I catch it the same day. Others I catch up. And there's probably at least one where I just want to see them succeed and I don't have the bandwidth to listen to it. And I kind of fell off for it. But where I was when I subscribed, it meant something to me. So I'd like to keep supporting them.
Love that. I think sometimes we think to support a show, you have to listen to every episode and wear the tote bag and buy the hat and be all about it. But sometimes it means, hey, I really love the work you're doing. I want to make sure you keep doing it, even if I can't listen to every episode. Here's $5 a month.
Well, and we think of support and financial, but like this is a B2B podcast, right? Like what we're doing right now. And I'm setting us up. This should be a clip right here because on LinkedIn, I tend to come across podcast clips all the time for shows that talk about a specific topic that I want to recommend to people, but then I'm never going to listen to. I'm never going to consume it. But I watch that clip. And just like I don't go to horror movies because I'm afraid of my own shadow, when I see a trailer for a horror movie and I know a friend likes horror movies, I recommend it because I know they'll like it and I know what they like in those things. So when somebody sees a clip from these podcasts, when they see a clip on social or other channels and that's enough for them. And then somebody says, hey, do you know anything about subscriptions in podcasting? They might say, oh, there's an episode of PodBiz where they dug
Watch
into that.
this
You should check it out.
episode of PodBiz. You don't have to listen to the episode, but you should be watching and sharing this clip. Absolutely, Bryan. Thanks for that. And also, I definitely have to echo what you say about horror podcasts. I've been a judge for quite a couple podcast awards, and I always have to tell them, please don't give me the true crime. Please don't give me the horror shows. I can't do it. Give me comedy.
Yeah. I'll take the D&D and the kids podcast. I got plenty of opinions on those.
Yep. Judged quite a few kids podcasts before. I can definitely relate. Well, Bryan, how did you get into the podcasting industry?
So I was working at a company called Adherent, and we had a product called Traction, and WNYC and Progressive were using this attribution product that we had for or Progressive Auto Insurance. They were using it for like their websites and their other media campaigns to track attribution. And we're on a call, and they said, can you track attribution in podcasting? 2015, 2016. And the sales guy, who was Matt Dringler, who's an industry legend at this point, said yes. And I hit mute, and I said, what are you doing? And then our company spun off to become Barometric. I was one of the founding members of that, and we became the first attribution company in podcasting, acquired by Claritas. And then after being through the acquisition, I went over and was senior product manager of data and monetization at Megaphone, where a lot of my role was to help rewrite the ad server. And I think it was just bad timing because they were trying to sell to Spotify. You can't really sell a house while someone's ripping up a carpet. So, rewriting the ad server while they're trying to sell the company wasn't a good fit, and we parted ways. So yeah, my trajectory has been like very much on like the technical and like how do we help people be successful on all sides, to the platform, and then now to being an industry advocate.
I think that really speaks to podcasting as an industry, right? You may not have the right job at the right time, but that doesn't mean there isn't a place for you and your expertise within podcasting.
Yeah. And the job aspect is really interesting. I was keying on this earlier. I think podcasting has failed podcast creatives. I really believe that. I think that the industry pumped money into things over and over again, and we kept paying these people more and more money and giving them bigger and bigger budgets. We didn't obligate them to learn about the business. And then one day we just let them all go. And so I think they have expectations of high salaries, expectations of high budgets, and they weren't brought up to speed on all of these things. But when we look at like YouTube or blogging or literally any other content medium, influencer, I don't know where you could get a six-figure job, a reasonable six-figure job, whether on the business side or the creative side or whatnot, in any of those other industries. Podcasting, you've been able to. I mean, God, I have been making money in the podcast industry. I think the lowest salary I had in the podcast industry was $150,000 over the 9 years. I think 9 years I've been active in the podcast space. And I don't know how, besides working at YouTube or Instagram or some of the big companies, and even them, I don't think they just hire. A lot of them hire on those big salaries like that. I think that podcasting is a really killer job entry point for the creator economy, for the influencer economy, for media creation, unlike anything else.
That's a really great take. It's really important to have that salary transparency, right? Because there's a lot of people doing similar jobs and there is a gap, right? Where we have episodes coming out, even just in terms of rates, in terms of, doing research or tape syncing, what those rates are on an hourly basis. But I think within the industry as a whole, that level of professionalism really started from day one. And I absolutely echo what you're saying in terms of guarantees. When we had the age of guarantees, it was a lot of cowboy money,
Yeah. Yeah. I think about YouTube a lot. I've been digging into it more and more. And what I want to say, real quick on that, I think video is valuable for social clips and things like that. I don't know if you can see it, but my hair's thinning right here. I used to shave my head when I started in podcasting. Look up some of the older photos. I had a shaved head and a mustache. I'm on calls 8 hours a day. No one should look at themselves that much. It's a lot, right? But I showered today. I didn't shave. I'm wearing my Rococo Punch t-shirt and all of that. I put some stuff in my thinning hair, but it's a lot of pressure. But being on video gives you more assets, whether your full show is on video or not. I don't ever want to pressure anybody on that, but if your video isn't great, but I have the option to watch it, I can. If there's no video, I can't do more. I can always minimize the tab. YouTube is a killer example in the job aspect. I come across all these people who are making great money, but you know what they're paid? Percent growth. There's a handful of people out there whose entire job is to grow a podcast channel. They say, hey, for the last 6 months, we've had this type of growth. That's your baseline. Anything you grow bigger than that, the ad revenue on that, you can get a percentage cut of. And that's it. They're not given like a base salary. A lot of these people, that's an entry point. And we have companies in podcasting that's their offering. And they basically say like, hey, it's a flat rate. We're not here for the percent growth. We're doing hard work. And that's pretty cool that companies like that can exist. Media companies and like Podglomerate is a great example of that, like growing shows on there and not saying like, we'll take some of the upside and we'll take all that risk, but saying it costs flat dollars and we've proven success.
And our labor is valuable. Well, Bryan, what would you say is one key move or metric or even mindset that's made the biggest impact in your career within podcasting and also some of the partners that Sounds Profitable?
Yeah, so we're at the end of May right now. We're post-Pod Show London. I always like to preface that because the difference between when we're recording and publishing. And September will be 5 years for us. We just crossed 200 partners, Flight Cast with Rocks Codes from part of the team with Stephen Bartlett and all of them just came on as our 200th partner. We'll be announcing that soon. And so I think the key thing that I would highlight is momentum. I think that is the mindset that I'd want to share. Look, we're a 4-person team. We have Lauren, who kills it on operations. We have Gavin Gaddis, who kills it on content for us. Tom Webster is research, right? He came on 3 years ago now. I gave him half the company. That was my opening offer to him to legitimize further what we were doing. And Tom and I have such little overlap. It's almost 2 unique businesses in what we're doing. We don't take equity advisory board seats. We don't take commission or kickback, but I'm pushing into places where brands are. Right. And there are other organizations out there that will take 10% cut of whatever that brand spends when they connect somebody with somebody. And I'm just doing it because I'm like, okay, well, how do I grab as much space as possible? How do I create a home base for podcasting? How do I not say, hey, if 10 people give me $10,000, we can do this amazing thing? How do I say, I bought in and I'm doing this amazing thing. You don't want to miss it. So momentum's really it. I think calculated risks are important. I think thinking in years instead of months or weeks is really critical now. We're a long-term industry, right? We're not going to flip anything. So it's about what's in front of you and how you take advantage of it. South by Southwest, we were going to have Tom as a keynote this past year, and that was it. Or I guess one of the presentations. To call it a keynote, it's a little bit large there, but I wish
in everyone's mind it was the keynote, right? It was
on the podcast stage. It was the keynote.
Exactly.
He's so great at presenting it.
Tom is a keynote speaker in my mind. Whenever I hear Tom Webster, I think, where's the keynote?
Appreciate that. That means a lot. The South by, like we worked with them and I made 100+ introductions about how our partners, like what they would pay for price and what the value is, what they're specifically looking for. And they came to us about 4 weeks before the event and they're like, hey, we have a lot unsold. Are you interested? And I bulk bought it and brought it to my partners. And with 4 weeks notice, we put 20 more of our partners on the stage at South by Southwest who weren't expecting it, right? For very, very cheap, very affordable.
Yeah, because if you're booking South by on its own, right, it's expensive, right? If you come in there and you're one brand and you're like, hey, we want to speak or we want a booth, you're throwing tons of money at it.
Yeah. And what's really funny about that is that when you buy that one thing, right, they sell you a package, but you might only want that stage time. You don't care about the booth space. You don't care about the social media push. But I have 200 partners. I bet you I have one that cares about the social media. Bet you that has one that cares about the booth. How do we take that and collectively split it out so that the costs of spending in podcasting to be at these places that's, connected television and YouTube and all these other channels, how they're showing up? How do we create that base? That's the momentum that I'm talking about. And so, a lot of my feedback to my partners is put some money under the pillow because these ideas, these engagements are $10,000 today, last minute with 4 weeks notice. But if you need a year notice, they're $30,000 because those people are selling on the potential and like you wanting to lock it down. Last minute's always going to be cheaper. And take advantage of that.
Yeah, that was such an amazing thing you did last year at South by. And I think it really also brought the business side of podcasting into an event that's really known for professional creatives.
Thank you. It's been really fun. These are big swings and we're learning and figuring out what we can do. And look, the small size of our team and the things that we push into, I'm very grateful we have not fallen flat on our face or failed. I think that we consistently underpromise and overdeliver. We consistently undercharge for things because I want people to be comfortable with the money they spend and the value. This isn't a margin game. We own the company outright. I have no investors that I am beholden to. And we're just really proud of what we're able to do for the space and put the space first.
Thanks for joining us here on PodBiz. If you're liking the show, please subscribe and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other podcast pros find the show. Thanks so much. and back to PodBiz. Bryan, what's something that people don't know about what you do?
Oh man, so it's so easy to pigeonhole Sounds Profitable as advertising. And it's just right. Like my first year of blog posts, it might as well have been an ad tech blog or the newsletter, right? And, James Cridlin helped position it that way. And it's not a bad thing because it was talking about things in ways that people weren't, right? How does geo-targeting work? What's the difference between a download, a listen, and a stream? But as a trade association, like I'm talking to almost all of our 200 partners every single month. And then I'm trying to talk to 20 to 30 new people every single month. And by doing that, I am expanding my reach. I'm doing laps. My favorite job ever was waiting tables. And you just go through all of that. But it's the momentum, the excitement.
I mean, I could take 20 people's orders without a pen, just table to table, and the vibe and the constant motion and the people aspect of it. So fun. I wonder sometimes like how many podcast people worked in the service industry because there's just such a snappiness and we all talk so much.
Yeah. Well, that's the mindset, right? To doing laps. Like when you get to a table and you see somebody's drink is empty, you remember the drink that somebody else needed, right? And connecting those dots. And so, my expertise does come from the technical side, the advertising side. That's the low hanging fruit. When we bring on a partner, it's $500 a month. It's a 3-month minimum commitment. There's literally no contract. There's 200 partners out there that have no contract with us and have been with us for years, right? The big thing for me is like, how do I make them, how do I help them justify the cost of working with us for a year? And so the easy thing is ad serving, right? Like it's, where are you hosting? Like, are you optimizing your stack? What are you working with for that? But then it's efficiency. It's what are the other tools out there that are going to help you with your job and presentation? What's the research that's going to help you guys determine what new shows to make or again, support the advertising there, but where are you missing opportunities for monetization overall? What's your strategy? I'm very fortunate. My younger brother works at Live Nation and he loves podcasting too. So he's like, I'd love to talk to more people about that. How do we help them set up tours and things like that, right? And so, the entry point, the easiest way to prove ourselves is always the advertising side or the research side. But, a lot of times now I just dive into the consulting. I said, what are 3 things that work for you and 3 things that don't? And we just start connecting the dots. And so I think that's it. Like we're pigeonholed in that end, but my alternative is like, drop a ton of money to do a rebrand and to have somebody out there market against that and share that. But we've never paid for acquisition. We've never paid for things like that. I would rather just the conversations kind of grow that or being on podcasts like this. So I think there are very few things in the business of podcasting that Tom or I can't help on one way or another that make it worthwhile for everybody in podcasting to be a partner.
We're still a small industry and people are new or brands are new or creators are new. They don't know everybody. It's really important to know that your network is your net worth. We're still in the sides of an industry where you can reach out and people will pick up the phone, right? We're all kind of growing together and we're not at the point of competition. We're still all very collaborative.
Yeah, there are some aspects of podcasting that are to our detriment. The fact that we continue to try and push that the outside advertising world and media world learn podcasting instead of us learn what they're doing and make it work for them. I understand there's some technical limitations on some of it, but at the end of the day, like if we want to be seen side by side with them, we have to conform a little bit and we're not great at that. But if we were, we would have been crushed, right? I worked in mobile advertising before I got into this space and it was very quick. Like I caused a few $1 million in damages with the mobile advertising stuff there. Like I think I might be the sole reason the close button is in the SDK instead of the ad creative. Like that's how bad it was. But like those things, that happened in the course of like 6 months to a year. And then all these big companies pushed everybody out. You couldn't make change as a small person or a passionate person. You could only make change if you were a large company spending money. And we're seeing some of that with like YouTube and Spotify and Apple and Amazon, but we're also not seeing that. I mean, the word podcasting is eating everything alive, right? Like we went to Possible and I met, so the close aspect of this industry is really nice. I think it's going to be, I think it'll maintain. But I think that, the networking is so killer. And what I really want to stress is that like, I read every email that when someone hits reply to the newsletter, it goes to me. When someone fills out a form on the website, it goes to me. I'm never like, you have to be a partner for me to respond. I'm like, hey, here's some thoughts, here's some connections, right? Like, here's some people
Yeah.
you should go try and meet, or here's some things you should do. You should go to these events, or you should think about things this way or whatnot. It's really when it comes down to like the hands-on consulting, the warm introductions, the events that we do. Like we have the happy hour before Pod Show London and all those things where my goal is, how do I make sure every partner there doubles their meetings? How do I make sure they're meeting people that they previously wouldn't have meet? And like, we also respect their time.
Bryan, if you had to start over today, what would you do differently to grow faster or smarter?
It's I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I'm 39. I moved to New York when I was 22, and it was the height of like mobile app development and all of that. And everybody I met was like, what do you want? Like, what's your company idea? And I've always liked being a right-hand man. And it's, I don't know. I don't have a lot of peer companies to talk to. Like a lot of the trade associations that I've met and a lot of the other organizations, they go different ways, right? They take commission, or they're like scaled pricing, or they don't provide as much service. And so, I don't know. I think that for a 4-person company, we're growing as like incredibly fast. I don't know how I could have grown it any faster. I think a lot of it's right time, right place, right time, right? Like we started during the pandemic. I had calls with everybody because everybody was just open to a conversation. What would I do different? As I look at the longevity of these things, I question if I should be the CEO, right? But I question, is our company big enough to hire more people to run those things? I think I'm great for pushing forward and all of this, but what does a company that is now about to turn 5 years old need to think about on the path to 10 years or 20 years or all that, right? Tom's horizon, Tom's 56, not to retire him or anything, but like he's got less years that he's going to want to work in this space than I do. And I'll keep doing this until all of you get sick of me. I only matter because the space decided I do, right? That they put our faith in us and that they find value in it. And again, we don't obligate anybody to stay a partner. So that's been like a really powerful endorsement for it. So I think what I would do differently is I think I would try and learn more about being a CEO and a founder, or figure out how to start thinking long term about what that role would have been. And I think it'll shave us like a year or something off if I had that, if I could do it again. Maybe the biggest advice I'd give it last year, I feel like I kind of stepped away from so many things because I was like, oh no, I'm the products of the company, right? Like time with me is like such a big aspect of it.
Yeah.
That's not a scalable company. And I think we tried to build an education course and all these things that kind of fell short. And I think at the end of it, what I realized was like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're effective. We're driving value. Like we're not falling behind on things. Is it like an ideal company that someone would invest in or purchase? Probably not. Do I need that? Not even a little bit.
Our last question for you today. What are you most excited about within the podcasting industry looking forward?
I think that everybody who opens their eyes to and their mind to the fact that like you have the opportunity to become a media company instead of a podcast company, that everything you're doing is sales and advertising. Even if your podcast doesn't have ads, you're promoting your brand, right? Like you're doing that instead of spending marketing dollars on something else, instead of a blog post or a newsletter, or maybe that's the derivatives from the podcast, instead of paid media and all of those things. Like everything we're doing is growth. Everything we're doing is to capture more audience and more attention and benefit from it. There's no company in podcasting out there that's putting anything out there without the idea of like paying a salary, like making sure that they can continue to do this. And so I think we got to clutch pearls a little bit less. I think that we need to acknowledge the potential that we have to grow media, like all of media. And I think we should continue to preserve audio forward content. Audio, like it's just the most precious thing, right? It's better than anything else. It's something you can do while you do something else. It's something you give more of your attention to, even if you're not sitting there watching it. So I think it's be open to what's next, but preserve where we came from.
Well, Bryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.